Hey, what's up? Let's talk a little bit about Dragon Age Dreadwolf. In the reply to one of my recent videos, someone talked about, or I saw them post about some evidence they found that EA Motive was actually assisting Dragon Age Dreadwolf in BioWare. When I looked through all of the official sources of information, I didn't see anything like that. But then I did a little bit of sleuthing, and here's what I found. So right here you see a screenshot from LinkedIn. I'm not going to say who the dev was. They're fairly easy to find. You can do that yourself. I'm not looking to call anyone out because I have a slight feeling that they weren't supposed to have this posted. But what you see here is a credit, and the credits for the games they've worked on, which starts with the Dead Space remake, which is the last big game we know that EA Motive put out. Then we see environment artist on Dragon Age Dreadwolf. We'll get back to that. And then level artist on Iron Man. So if you didn't see the news this week, there was a big blog and announcement that EA Motive is going to be working on the Iron Man game. Getting back to the point of this video, the environmental artist credit here is interesting because I looked all over the place at press releases and everything, even to the information we got a few months ago when Mark Dara was announced to have been back on the project as a consultant, and that they were taking Mass Effect devs to go over and help finish up Dreadwolf. There's no mention of EA Motive. Now, after looking a little more into it, this shouldn't be that surprising. I recently found out that a lot of EA Motive is some of the remnants of an old BioWare studio. So both their experience with BioWare and kind of with how they do things, them being a support studio for them almost makes complete sense. It is still odd to me that they never announced this or put this out there. This is the only person from EA Motive I found who had this in their credits. I can't imagine they just had one person from that studio working on this, and this does fill a gap. The Dead Space remake came out early in 2023. It likely had a lot of devs no longer needing to work on it even months before that. And then we see this listing that says that they've been working, or at least some of the devs there have been working on Dreadwolf from last November until this August. That coincidentally also appears to butt right up to when they likely started actual production on this Iron Man game that's coming out. I don't really have a ton to extrapolate from this. The rumors are from people like Jeff Grubb and other insiders that we should probably expect Dragon Age Dreadwolf in the first quarter or the second quarter of 2024. That it was initially meant to come out in late 2023, but that got pushed back. That coincides with news that we got back in 2022 in the late in the fall time of the year that it had hit alpha, which typically means a game is getting towards the end of the process, and now we're a year later and the game still isn't out. So whether they hit roadblocks, whether they're just trying to put some really good polish on the game, we don't know. The rumors that again come from people like Jeff Grubb are that everyone who's working on Dreadwolf is really excited for it and happy with it. There's a really good vibe around it, but obviously these internal delays have been a little tough, and a delay is never good. But to their credit, they haven't done any of these delays outwardly or publicly. They've never actually given a date for when the game's coming out. In fact, we know very, very little about the game. You could argue we actually know more about the next Mass Effect that's coming out than we do Dreadwolf, even though the next Mass Effect is only in pre-production. So take from that what you will. I think this is interesting. I suspect this means, especially if Motive is no longer helping with it, they've got to be reaching the end of development. This coincides with the information recently about the 50 developers getting laid off from BioWare. That's typical towards the end of a development cycle, even though that one was weird because it was a lot of really senior developers and people who wouldn't typically get let go, or maybe they would. I am maybe a little uneducated in that part of the gaming industry, but Selfishly, I just want Dreadwolf to come out so I know they can start working on Mass Effect. But I am curious about Dreadwolf. I think an early 2024 release makes sense for them. And I suspect that EA itself is happy to get that game out so that they can finally move on from that project that's probably cost them more money than they're going to make back unless it's extremely successful, which I'm going to hope it is, because that would be good for BioWare. And if good things happen for BioWare, good things happen for Mass Effect. And that honestly is what I'm really here for. So that's what I have for this week. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video if you did, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts. I am at Von Diesel all over the internet, including over on Twitch, where I try to stream a couple times a week, or at least a few times a month. Consider supporting my content by becoming a YouTube member, joining the Patreon at patreon.com/BonDiesel, becoming a Twitch subscriber, especially if you have Amazon Prime and that free subscription, or by checking out all of the links in the description below, including my branded coffee mugs and other merch. That's all I have for this one. So until next time.